Rob, in mid to late 2019, there was a little bit of a controversy going around because Netflix floated the idea that they were looking at introducing on their service the ability for viewers to speed up the playback or, in some cases, slow down the playback, depending on what it is they wanted to do. Now, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of debate. A lot of actors and filmmakers came out against this. Judd Apatow said, it's not the distributor's purview to decide how our content, how our movies, and how our stuff is to be viewed. And, even Aaron Paul came out against it. A number of people came out against this. Well, they've now actually started to implement it. Netflix has now started launching on a number of their services. I believe also Android, the Netflix app on Android just introduced it. I think it's rolling out to everybody as well right now, which has re-sparked the controversy again. That's got a lot of people talking about this. Is this a good move? The ability for a viewer at home to take a movie that's playing or an episode of television and speed it up. I think it goes up to 1.5 times fast or down to as slow as 0.5 slow, if a viewer wanted to do that. And it's raised up the whole debate again. There are some people that are saying this is a great idea for accessibility because some people with hearing impairments, they rely on subtitles, and sometimes subtitles go by a little bit too fast. They like to slow it down to be able to enjoy that. Whatever some people say, they listen to their audiobooks on high speed. They want to be able to, it'll help them binge a season of something a little bit faster, whatever. But then again, on the other side, you got a lot of creators who don't like this idea at all. Rob, I know we talked about this a little bit, last year, but now that it's here, it's now being implemented. What do you think about this idea of the viewers now having the ability to speed up or slow down the content they're watching on Netflix?
Look, I think I understand on one hand, it allows people, if you want to speed it up, you can watch even more of their content in a faster way, if that's what you want. And if you're hard at hearing or things like that, slowing down the content helps you concentrate more if that's something that you need. What I object to fundamentally is, as a person who makes films, and John, you're a person who makes films, you edit, you put together a movie and you spend months, if not years, working on a project, and you craft it within, hopefully, as perfect as it can be. And the rhythms of a movie, the rhythms of programming are very important. I mean, selling jokes might have to do with a cut or how the speed of a silence between lines of dialogue. And what this does is it destroys all of that. It destroys the artistry that goes into programming. And I just feel it's yet another way that we just degrade the sanctity of the art form of motion pictures and television. I mean, I know that might seem like me on a high horse, but as somebody who spends a long time trying to get a film right, the rhythms of a film right, it just seems like this kind of technology throws that out the window. And I feel like we've already lost we have no respect for anything in our society. Nobody holds anything up to as exalted anymore, whether it's people, whether it's art, whether it's our beliefs. Nothing is held in any regard. Everything is, you can mock it, you can make fun of it, tear it down, whatever. And I just feel like this is another way that art itself is being disrespected. You think the movie's too slow? Speed it up. Who cares what the filmmakers wanted? Who cares what the intent was? If you want to watch it faster, and if you don't have the attention span, speed it up. I don't like the underlying philosophical ramifications of it. And I know that has nothing to do with corporate interests and anything. And maybe it's me just being like, I believe in art, and I do. And I just think that it just annoys me. I mean, God, get a life. Why should we try and shape art? Why does everybody want everything the way they want it? The world is indifferent. The universe is indifferent to your suffering. And everybody wants to make everything and get it just the way they want it. And they don't want to, like, when you walk out into the world does not bend to you. You bend to the world, and you shouldn't be able to, like, I don't like the shade of the Mona Lisa's face. Now that it's digitized, let me make it a little bit more rosy or whatever. I hate that idea. I hate the idea that, anyway, what can I do? It's the future's here, and deal with it. I guess.
Let me say this though. I gotta say, I will never, ever, use this feature. I will personally never ever use this feature. Speeding it up, slowing it down. I want to watch the movie or the show as it's meant to be enjoyed. That's how I'm going to do it. I am never going to use this feature. That said, I also have no fundamental problem if somebody else wants to do it. Like, for example, here's an example, Rob. You and I were just talking the other day about the fact that you and I can't remember which one specifically it is. You and I love the de-cheesed edit of the Star Wars films, or the de-specialized editions, right? Well, isn't that you and me taking a movie the way it was meant to be done, and we wanted to rearrange it or have somebody else rearrange it so we can watch it and enjoy it a little bit more? Here's an example to me. Like, I will never play a movie like this sped up. I will never do that. I will never do it slowed down. The only time maybe I could see myself doing it is if I was watching a foreign film dubbed, and maybe if the dialogue's going really super fast, I don't know, maybe I'll use that feature. But for the most part, I'm never going to use this feature. But, you know, right now, the audience at home has the ability to pause the movie. Like,
sure.
Like the filmmaker intends for us to sit down and start the movie and watch it through to its completion. But right now we have the ability to stop it. We have the ability to pause it for a half hour if we want to, get up, run to McDonald's, grab some McNuggets, come home, then proceed. You and I have the ability. I can't remember if it was you or somebody else, Rob, that was saying how many times you've put on Avengers Endgame and just fast forwarded immediately to the portal scene. Right? We have the ability right now to do that. Now, what I do believe in is I believe in the artist should be able to determine where, you know, their stuff is being presented, if they want it streaming, if they don't want it streaming, if they want it on physical media. I agree with all that. But once the consumer has purchased it, you know, like once you can buy a pair of blue jeans and, you know, somebody put a lot of work designing those jeans and laborers put in hours putting the jeans together. But once I have it, if I want to put a rip in the knee in those jeans, they're my jeans. It's not how the designer intended me to wear them, but they're my jeans now. I paid for them. So I feel like putting a hole in the knee. When you know, if a dish gets served to me in a restaurant, steak, if I want to put salt on that steak, that's my choice to do it. Well, you know, the chef already seasoned the steak. They don't really want you adding more seasoning. Well, that's great, but I bought the steak. It's on my table. It's mine now. And if I want to put peanut butter on this steak, I might have to try that. If I want to put peanut butter on this steak, I'm going to put peanut butter on the steak. So I guess my whole feeling on this is I have no idea why you'd ever, again, unless it's an accessibility issue and you rely on the subtitles and you want to slow them down. Other than that, I have no idea why anybody, Rob, would ever want to use this feature. To me, it's a silly thing, but at the same time, it's, hey, you pay for Netflix, you bought the movie, you did whatever. If you want to watch it sped up, then God bless, you go watch it sped up if that turns your crank. But I'm just not going to do it myself.
I mean, look, I agree with you that people should be able to do what they want with their product. What I think is pernicious maybe about this technology is ultimately people are going to get used to using it and watching things in fast motion. Like then I think people lose the ability to then go back and say, watch an Andrei Tarkovsky movie, which like if you try to watch his science fiction film Stalker, which is already hard to sit through without falling asleep. And it's a movie I love, but you know, if we have a whole generation of people that are watching things at 1.5 times normal speed, are they gonna destroy their own ability to sit down? Like we already saw people destroy their attention spans, you know, and I think it goes further toward removing the ability that people have to sit down and lay back and enjoy something. I think it fundamentally changes because, you know, in 20 years, when everybody's used to, this movie, I just watch movies at 1.5 times normal speed. That's what I do. I find regular movies just boring. And I can see what it will change people.
I disagree. I think this is I think now sometimes I make slippery slope arguments myself, but I think this is a slippery slope argument. I think there's this underlying assumption here that everybody's going to start doing this. I don't know anybody that's going to do this. I really don't. I think this type of capability is there for everybody. Like, listen, you have the capability with the old record players to put it on, what was it, 75? Was that the speed?
78.
You had 78. You had the capability to put on, say, how many people do you know put it on 78 and listen to Michael Jackson's Beat It at super high speed? Nobody did it. And I think that's the case here. I think this is going to be a thing where it's there for some people who may want to do it. And if it's fine that you have the capability of doing it, it's not forcing anybody to do it. And I honestly don't see this getting widely adopted. I just don't see this getting wide. Again, accessibility stuff with, hearing impaired people wanting to slow. I can see that, sure. But other than the odd person doing it, I just don't see this being a thing. I really don't. So that's why I don't have a problem with them offering this option to people if they so choose that they want to be able to do it.
Right.
So I mean, any more than having the ability, I don't think they should take away the ability to, because right now on Netflix, you have the ability to fast forward if you want. We shouldn't take that away from people. Say, well, you can't watch the portal scene until you watch the rest of the movie too. Like, right. We don't do that. So I don't know. I think though, Rob,
but that's because we've already seen the portal scene like dozens of times.
Well, true.
So,
but I mean, we still have that ability to do that. Yeah. I think that if you were right, if you turn out to be right in that everybody just starts doing it and everybody starts watching content at blah, 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 speed, which I do not think is going to happen. But if that did happen, and if I knew that was going to happen, I think I would probably change my mind on this, because that would just speed up our process as a culture becoming idiocracy. But I really, again, I don't see that being a thing. I don't think it's something for us to worry about. I think there's going to be a few people that take advantage of this feature, but I really don't see it being widely adopted. But let's talk again in a year and see where I, because maybe I'm dead wrong about that. Question for you guys is this: what do you think about the idea of Netflix introducing this feature that people can use if they so choose? Do you think it's a real problem? Do you think it disrespects the art? Do you think hardly anybody's going to use this anyway, other than those who maybe use it for accessibility issues? What do you think about this whole thing? I'm never going to use it myself, but I have no problem with other people doing it. Maybe you do. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.